Breaking news! This one is going to spark some serious debate in the group. The Ravens just made a move that no one saw coming, not because of who it involves, but when they decided to make it. It's bold, strategic, and has already divided fans and analysts alike. Did Baltimore make one of the smartest bets of the offseason, or are they overvaluing a player who still has something to prove? There's real money at stake. There's real expectation behind this. And if this bet pays off, it could reshape the entire direction of the offense going forward. But before we go any further, be sure to like this if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always awesome to see fans of all ages cheering for this team. And if you want, comment, "Go Ravens!" Let's go! The Baltimore Ravens have officially extended wide receiver Rashod Bateman to a 3-year, $36.75 million deal, and the reaction is already splitting fans and analysts alike. This marks the second time in 2 consecutive offseasons that the Ravens have put their trust in Bateman with a contract extension. But this time, it feels different. There's a shift in tone, a new kind of belief. The kind of belief you don't just say, you back it up with money. And that's exactly what Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office have done here. Bateman is coming off his best season yet, showing what he can do when he's fully healthy and given consistent reps in a dynamic offense. At 25 years old, he's not just getting a second chance, he's earning it. He delivered 760 receiving yards in 2024, but what's more important is how he did it. His ability to stretch the field as a deep threat filled a gaping void in the Ravens' offense. He offered Lamar Jackson something this team had sorely missed, a vertical presence that could pull safeties deep and open things up for everyone else. Now, is $12 million per year a steep price for a receiver some still label a WR3? That depends on who you ask. Critics online might scoff, claiming the Ravens overpaid. But here's the truth, those critics don't watch Baltimore every week. They don't understand the chemistry building between Bateman and Lamar, or the subtle ways he shifts defensive. And not just earning it, he's convincing this front office that he might finally be ready to live up to that first-round billing. Let's be honest, a lot of people were quick to slap the bust label on Bateman after his first couple of seasons, plagued with injuries and inconsistency. But last year, he quietly reminded everyone that he's not done. In fact, he might just be getting started. The deep threat, it's always been there. But now, he's starting to put together the complete package. Timing, route running, chemistry with Lamar Jackson, all of it took a massive step forward last season. And that's exactly why Baltimore is locking him up at what could turn out to be one of the most team-friendly wide receiver contracts in the league. Just $12 million a year in a market where WR3s are starting to command that kind of money? It's not just savvy, it's strategic. Critics are already chirping, saying you overpaid for a WR3. But let's make one thing clear. Those voices aren't watching the Ravens every Sunday. They're just echoing names like Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase, and CeeDee Lamb. But real Ravens fans know better. We saw Bateman stretch the field, come up big in key moments, and provide something this offense desperately needed, a legitimate outside threat who could pull coverage and make the defense honest. Now imagine what happens if he takes another step forward in 2025. What if he hits 900 yards? Or even cracks 1,000? What if he becomes Lamar's go-to guy on 3rd and long? What if, after years of questions, Rashod Bateman finally becomes the WR1 many hoped he could be? That $12 million per year could suddenly look like one of the biggest steals in football. And this move doesn't happen in a vacuum. With tight ends Mark Andrews and Isaiah likely both heading into contract years, it's becoming clearer that Baltimore probably only intends to extend one of them. The Bateman deal tightens the window even more. It also strongly suggests that DeAndre Hopkins is very likely a 1-year rental, no matter how productive he might be this season. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the strategy becomes more apparent. Lamar Jackson is in his prime. Derrick Henry has been added as a bruising, game-changing back. Zay Flowers is a speedster who can flip the field in a blink. You've still got Andrews, Likely, and Bateman all contributing in different ways. Add in a fully recovered Keaton Mitchell and a versatile Justice Hill, and this offense is loaded with weapons. But here's the kicker. This Bateman deal might be the turning point. It's a move that says the Ravens believe in this core. They're not waiting for players to prove it 3 years in a row before they invest. They're betting on their guys. They're saying, we see what you bring. We believe in where you're headed. And look, this doesn't mean Rashod Bateman is the next Ja'Marr Chase. He's not pulling back $35 million a year for a reason. But at 25, coming off a 760-yard season, with still so much room to grow, locking him in at $12 million a year, that's not just belief. That's a calculated move with serious upside. This also tells you what the coaching staff thinks about his progression. He's no longer just depth. He's part of the blueprint. And if he delivers in 2025 the way some within the Ravens organization believe he can, it could transform this offense yet again. Let's go even deeper, because this deal isn't just about Bateman, it's a signal, a statement, a chess move in what is becoming a very calculated build around Lamar Jackson's championship window. The Ravens aren't just trying to be competitive, they're aiming to be explosive, versatile, and unrelenting. And by re-signing Bateman early, they're locking in a critical piece of that puzzle at a price that could be laughably low a year from now. Think about the current wide receiver market. Every year, the price goes up. Just this offseason, we saw non-elite receivers push back $15 million or more annually. You can thank teams desperate for help at the position for that inflation. So, to get a 25-year-old entering his prime, who already has chemistry with your franchise quarterback at $12 million, it's not a gamble, it's a strategic value investment. And the timing? That's what's really smart. If they had waited another year, assuming Bateman continued his upward trajectory, they'd be staring down a much more expensive negotiation, or worse, losing him to a team with more cap flexibility. By acting now, Baltimore gets cost certainty and keeps a key piece of their offense in-house, rather than risking free agency chaos. There's another layer here that Ravens fans should consider. Bateman's extension could also be a blueprint for how this front office plans to manage the roster going forward. Remember, they didn't jump to pay him after year 1 or 2. They were patient. They watched how he developed, how he handled adversity, and how he responded when finally healthy. Once he proved he could stay on the field and contribute consistently, they pounced. That speaks volumes about how Eric DeCosta is managing risk while building towards sustained success. And don't overlook the psychological impact on Bateman himself. When a franchise steps up and says, "We believe in you," that kind of vote of confidence can light a fire under a player. Expect Bateman to come into 2025 with a chip on his shoulder, not to prove the doubters wrong, but to prove the Ravens right. That's the kind of motivation you want fueling one of your top targets. We also can't ignore what this means for Lamar Jackson. For years, the narrative around him was that he didn't have enough weapons, that Baltimore didn't do enough to support their MVP quarterback with elite talent on the outside. That's no longer the case. The Ravens have now built one of the most balanced defensive arsenals in the NFL, and Bateman's extension ensures that Lamar's continuity with his receiving core remains intact. And this could also influence the development of Zay Flowers. With Bateman taking pressure off, drawing coverage, and opening up the field, Flowers is in a prime position to thrive. Same goes for DeAndre Hopkins, who, despite being on a 1-year deal, now walks into an offense where he doesn't have to carry the load. He can do what he does best, win on tough routes, convert big downs, and mentor younger receivers like Flowers and Bateman along the way. Let's also remember that Bateman's presence creates matchup nightmares. If a defense loads the box for Henry and spies Lamar, they're already down a man in the secondary. Now try to defend Zay in the slot, Hopkins on a curl, and Bateman stretching the field or winning on a post route. That's a lot of stress on a defense. It's the kind of offensive complexity Baltimore hasn't consistently had in the Lamar era until now. This is why the Bateman deal is so important. It's not just about keeping a good player. It's about expanding the offensive playbook, maximizing Lamar's strengths, and putting pressure on every level of the opposing defense. And if Bateman lives up to this extension, if he becomes the 1,000-yard receiver many believe he can be, then the entire dynamic of this team shifts. It's moves like these that separate reactive franchises from proactive ones. Baltimore isn't waiting until Bateman hits the open market. They are playing scared. They're building around a vision, around a quarterback in his prime, around a team that's clearly thinking Super Bowl. So, now that you've had the full breakdown, let's bring it back to you. Do you believe in Rashod Bateman? Was this deal a smart bet on potential, or a reach for a player who still has more to prove? Let us know in the comments, because part 2 is coming, and we're diving into what this means for the Ravens offense in 2025, how it affects future cap moves, and the ripple effect it could have on every position group. Ready for it? Just say the word.